Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, proud to stock fresh produce, tender cuts of meat, and more from Colorado farms and local small businesses. You support local when you shop at Safeway. Shop at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Each year on this day, September 11th, is somber. Today, it's especially so because there was a school shooting in Evergreen yesterday. We'll bring you what we know about it so far. If you want to mark 9/11, you can join firefighters from across the state at Red Rocks Amphitheater, where the public is welcome to join the firefighters climbing the stairs to simulate climbing the World Trade Center, along with raising funds for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. I'm Arlo Pérez Esquivel. Coming up, students were shot at a high school in Evergreen.
Honestly, I don't know if our suspect is old enough to even drive.
Then, the Trump administration rolls back a rule to protect public lands, making it easier to mine, graze, and log.
This agency has a really large footprint across the West, and nationwide, it manages about a tenth of all the land in the United States.
What that means here in Colorado. Plus, what Palmer Lake voters had to say about Buc-ee's moving to town.
All this wild human nature over a gas station and beaver nuggets.
And you'll get advice on how to see fall colors.
I think we're going to get a pretty good show.
It's Thursday, September 11th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Just a few weeks into the academic year, Colorado's home to yet another school shooting. This time at a high school in Evergreen in the foothills west of Denver. The suspect shot himself and has died. According to law enforcement officials, calls started coming in just before 12:30 yesterday, with reports of an active shooter at Evergreen High School. The initial response was large.
There are so many jurisdictions up here, I can't name them, but it's like the metro area just responded.
Jefferson County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Jackie Kelly estimated more than 100 officers were on scene. Videos on social media show emergency service vehicles racing towards the school. Law enforcement officials encountered the shooter within 5 minutes, according to the sheriff's office.
A lot of them self-deployed, and we sure appreciate it because you don't know what you have until you get here.
At least 3 students were shot, including the alleged attacker. They were all treated at Common Spirit St. Anthony Hospital in Lakewood. One other student took themselves to the hospital after being injured trying to get away from the school. Kelly said the shooter used a handgun.
Honestly, I don't know if our suspect is old enough to even drive.
Parents and others were able to reunite with their students at an elementary school several miles away. Denverite's Kevin Beatty met Jen Weber. She was waiting for her son, who's a freshman at Evergreen High School.
I was out washing my car, and I just got a text message from him that said that there was a shooter and that he loved me. And so my car battery had actually died. And so I just looked around in the parking lot and asked somebody to bring me. And so somebody drove me over here.
You're feeling like he's safe now, and so there's probably a bit of relief?
Oh, huge relief. Yeah, he called me actually as they were getting walked to Wilmot from the high school.
Okay. And so you're waiting to find him here. You know, this is the kind of thing that we talk a lot about in this country these days. Did you ever see yourself being directly involved in something like this?
I think if I'm being honest with myself, I always knew it was when, not if. But having been born and raised in Evergreen, I didn't ever really think it would happen here in Evergreen.
Governor Jared Polis said students should be able to attend school safely and without fear across their state and nation. Polis encouraged anyone, particularly young people who are affected by this, to call the 988 hotline to access mental health support. Last night, more than 100 people held a vigil at Flatirons Community Church. People sat, embraced each other, and cried. We'll continue to update the story as new information comes at CPR.org. That is a heavy way to start today's episode. There is other news, though, that I'm here to catch you up on as well. The Trump administration is making moves that could impact public lands across Colorado and the country. They're overturning a rule focused on conserving and restoring BLM lands and making changes to a federal fund that could help create parks and increase access to the outdoors. CPR's Caitlin Kim is in Washington, D.C., and is going to help us understand what these changes mean in Colorado. Caitlin, first, how much land does BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, control in Colorado?
So, Arlo, the BLM manages more than 8 million acres of land in Colorado, most of it on the western slope. So if you like to hike or ski, which I think most Coloradans do, you've almost certainly been on BLM lands. Now, this agency has a really large footprint across the West, and nationwide, it manages about a tenth of all the land in the United States. It also oversees a lot of the country's minerals underground, including 27 million acres of mineral state in Colorado.
Now, the Biden administration tried to expand protections on BLM land by enacting a rule. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so it's called the Conservation and Landscape Health Rule, and Biden's BLM was trying to expand what we consider the main uses of public lands by making conservation an official use, essentially putting conservation on par with other uses, such as mining and grazing. Now, the idea behind the rule was to give as much weight to leaving areas pristine or, restoring degraded ecosystems as these other priorities.
I mean, at face value, that sounds pretty nice. So why is Interior Secretary Burgum trying to rescind it?
So Secretary Burgum says the rule potentially blocks access to hundreds of thousands of acres of multiple-use lands, preventing, quote, energy and mineral production, timber management, grazing, and recreation across the West. Now, he argues that the rule exceeded BLM's authority and placed an outsized priority on conservation, which, he tends to define as no use.
So to make sure I understand, is he saying that the Biden rule sought to restrict recreation on these lands?
Yes, this was actually one of the big debates surrounding the rule. But the truth is, Biden's rule said it would not preclude recreation, research, or other authorized uses alongside conservation. Look, just like you don't have mining on every acre of BLM land or grazing or recreation on every acre, there would be this weighing of conservation. Is this the best place for it compared to the other main uses? What the Biden administration was trying to do was say conservation, which includes restoration work, is a use of public lands, and it would allow for other uses in those areas if they were compatible. Like, if you could show that conservation could be achieved along with some other uses of the land, both would get the green light. So I want to note the regulation is on the books, and the Trump administration can't unilaterally overturn it. The public has 60 days to comment, so, it's not final yet, and people do have a chance to weigh in.
Okay, I want to talk about the other changes, the changes to a pot of federal money used to create parks and outdoor access. What is this fund, and what does that change mean?
It's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It's a popular bipartisan fund that has a lot of congressional support. Basically, it helps federal, state, and local efforts to acquire land for recreation and conservation, improve outdoor access, and develop state and local parks. Interior Secretary Burgum says he's getting rid of red tape, but, it's leading to things like potentially discouraging the BLM from acquiring land. So that means one example of something that could not happen under the new order is the South San Juan project. Last year the BLM used money from this fund to acquire land in southwest Colorado to support outdoor recreation, public access, and the protection of natural resources.
And that kind of thing won't be possible anymore with these funds.
I'd say it'd be highly discouraged.
Are there any other changes that are controversial?
Yes, another change makes it possible for federal lands to be sold to the state. Now, they'd say sometimes states can manage lands better, but conservation groups fear, this is a backdoor to federal land sales, noting that state protections aren't always as strong as federal ones, and the state could sell the land for private development down the road.
CPR's Caitlin Kim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Arlo.
We finally have the results that you've been waiting for. After a grueling couple days of ballot counting and poll watching, an election that only saw about 1,000 votes, it appears that the people of Palmer Lake have spoken. No Buc-ee's, thank you very much.
I don't dislike or hate Buc-ee's per se. It's just in that location, it just doesn't fit.
KRCC's Brianna Heaney has been out talking to people around town, including nearby resident Darren Fike. And Bree is back with the latest. Bree, how did things play out?
So remember, this is about Buc-ee's, the nationwide chain of massive travel plazas, which wanted the town of Palmer Lake to annex land from unincorporated El Paso County for a new development site. This is about halfway between Castle Rock and Colorado Springs. Voters, by about a 2-1 margin, decided they want direct, final say over whether Palmer Lake makes a deal with Buc-ee's. They don't want the town government to make the decision, and they've recalled 2 town trustees who had supported the annexation plan from the beginning. I talked with resident and Board of Trustees member Addis Yurka, who worried about how a Buc-ee's would change Palmer Lake's small town vibe.
We're not enamored of big box stores, national franchises. We like small mom and pop operations, the look and feel of a quiet little mountain town.
The vote this week does not mean that the Buc-ee's proposal is dead, but it means residents will have ultimate say on whether a key part of the company's plan gets to proceed. So Buc-ee's and its supporters of the chain's expansion in Colorado could still make their argument that it would bring good revenue to Palmer Lake and may have other benefits for the area. But after months of heated town hall meetings, alleged threats, and property damage, Addie's wife, Nancy Yurka, wonders what's next for the town and its people.
All this wild human nature that has erupted over a gas station and beaver nuggets. So after all is said and done, how is the town going to get back together, unified, and get along?
Guess they'll have to go somewhere else for those beaver nuggets. Brianna Heaney, thank you so much. Fall is just around the corner, and among other things, that means leaf peeping.
Grab your sweetie, grab a picnic, and go for a drive because honestly, this time of year, it's magical, right? Cool and crisp evenings and mornings, really beautiful days. In part, this is why we live in Colorado, right?
Right. Dr. Dan West is an entomologist at the Colorado State Forest Service. Bozzy spoke about his advice on the best times and places to see the leaves with CPR's Lauren Antonoff-Hart.
Lauren, is this expected to be a good year for those colors?
It is, with one caveat. Drought conditions on the western slope are negatively affecting the trees there. But on the other hand, the sunny and mild forecast for the next month is optimal for our fall colors.
Those sunny blue sky days are what we really want because that, sunshine burns off the green colors that we see in the leaves, and it leaves us with those baked in yellows and oranges that are underneath.
For those who are eager to view the fall colors, where can they go and when?
Folks do not have to wait too long. For everyone's planning purposes, picture the state divided into thirds from top to bottom.
Okay.
Dr. West predicts that top section north of I-70 will peak around the weekend of September 20th. So that is just over a week from now.
Yay!
Yeah, and then in the central band of the state, the peak will probably be closer to the end of September. And then in southern Colorado, you'll want to head out near the beginning of October. And don't forget, you might also want to check out our forested areas on the plains.
Certainly for the folks who love to go out and kind of walk the river drainages and see the colors out on the eastern plains, it should be a great year for that.
That's because the eastern plains got lots of moisture this year, so there should be plenty of foliage.
Looking forward to that. We mentioned that Dr. West is an entomologist, so he studies how insects like pine beetles impact trees. What's he seeing right now with that?
He said pine beetles are spreading exponentially in some areas, and that can also fool people who are looking for fall colors, because when those pine trees get infected, their needles turn red and yellow as they die.
And they're not really supposed to be part of the fall show.
They are not. So if you hit one of those patches of dead trees, Dr. West says just keep driving because there are lots of magnificent viewing spots to be found.
Thanks so much, Lauren.
Thank you, Buzzy.
And if you'd like some ideas for great places to go leaf peeping this fall, we have a link to Lauren's article with maps in the show notes.
Additional reporting for today's show came from many people within CPR's newsroom, including Ben Marcus, Allison Sherry, Tony Gorman, Haley May, and Yesenia Robles. Again, for updates on the shooting at Evergreen High School, please join us at cpr.org. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Shop online and get $30 off your first online order when you use code SAVE30 at checkout. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Get started at Safeway.com or the Safeway app.